All right, today, 7.2, properties of parallelograms. Wow, it's terrible. All right, so when you think about a parallelogram, it's basically a rectangle, but it's like it's got pushed over. It's slanted. Okay, it's like the wind blew it over or something like that. Okay. But there's 4 different theorems we're going to do today. I'm going to highlight the main part out of each theorem. So on your notes, I want you to highlight those as well. Highlight or underline, either way. Just make them stand out. Makes sense. So this first one, the parallelogram opposite sides theorem. The main thing you need to know, opposite sides are congruent. The parallelogram opposite angles theorem. You need to know opposite angles are congruent. Okay. Opposite angle would be like angle P and angle R. Okay, they're on opposite sides of the parallelogram from each other. They're not directly connected. Okay, they don't share the same ray or anything like that, or same segment. So opposites are congruent. Then you need to know that consecutive angles are supplementary. All right, and consecutive angles would be like angle Q here and angle P. They're right next to each other. Okay. They look like they share one of those sides together as one of their walls. All right, another one you could say was like P and S, or S and R, or R and Q. So let me ask, supplementary, what does that mean?
Or no, opposite.
What? They add up to equal 180, right? What is complementary? They add up to equal 90. Okay? So supplementary adds to 180. So knowing that, if my y was 100, how much would x equal? 80. Because if you know x plus y, those are consecutive, added up to equal 180, and one of them equal 100, you do 180 minus 100, right? Okay. And then the last one is simply diagonals bisect each other. What does it mean to bisect? So it cuts it in what? Cuts it in half. Okay, and each side is then congruent on each side. All right. So if we looked here, you see that this line here has been cut in half, and then it's congruent on each one. All right. All right. Example 1. Find the values of x and y. So this first one, let's find x. Now, when I look at this, it is 2x and 50, right? What kind of angles are those? Are they corresponding or are they opposites? And what does it say the opposite angles are with each other? They're congruent. So, Luis, if 2x and 50 are congruent to each other, how can I write that in a formula, an equation? 2x equals 50. So Brady, how do I solve for x here?
Divide by 2.
We're just going to divide by 2. X equals 25. All right, next one, we're going to find y. So Roman, when I look at 18 and y plus 3, those are opposite sides, right? Opposite sides are what with each other? Congruent? So tell me how to write that equation. Y plus 3 equals 18. All right, Shelby, how do I solve for y here? We're going to subtract 3. And what does that give you? 15. Mandy, do you want to find m or n first? M. Okay. How do we find it? So she said 2m and the 70 are opposite angles. Because they're opposite, they're going to be congruent or equal to each other, right? All right, Noah, if these are equal to each other, tell me how to write the equation. 2m equals 70. And then Noah, what do I do to solve for that?
You divide 2m and 70 by 2.
Perfect. Divide each side by 2. M equals 35. All right, Mateo, we are solving for n now. How do we solve for n? So Mateo said that n and 70 are consecutive, so they're supplementary, so they equal 180. So, Brady, knowing n and 70 are supplementary, tell me how to write the equation.
n plus 70 equals 180.
N plus 70 equals 180, and then what do we do to solve it?
Subtract 70 from 180.
Subtract 70 from 180,
Which gives you 110.
n equals 110. All right. We're going to find u first. Doesn't matter which one on this one. But when we look at u, it's got 2u plus 2 here and 5u minus 10. Class, what did our theorem say that those two lines do with each other?
They cut it in half.
What do we call that?
Bisect.
They bisect. So I know that each of those sides, this side and this side, are congruent, right?
Yes.
So Paula, how do I write that in an equation then, if those two, the 2u plus 2 and the 5u minus 10, are congruent? Perfect. Jules, do you want to move the u's to the left or to the right? So we need to move that 5u over. So what do we do? Subtract the 5u from both. And no, everything else just comes down. So 2u minus 5u is what, Jules? What? Negative 3u. Plus 2 equals negative 10. Lucas, what's the next step to solve for u? Subtract 2 from both sides. Negative 3u is equal to negative 10 minus 2 is what? Negative 12. So, Angel, what's my last step here? By? Just 3? Negative 3. And what does that give me? So u equals 4. All right, guys. Now we need to find v. V over 3 and 6.
V over 3 equals 6?
V over 3 equals 6. Okay, go ahead and toss it. All right, that's a terrible 6. I need to redo that. V over 3 equals 6. Hernan. How do I get that 3 to the other side? So remember, guys, that v over 3 is just saying v divided by 3. Okay? Anytime there's a fraction, it's division. So you just multiply by that 3 on both sides. And then v is equal to 18. So when we look at this, guys, all eyes up here. I have a 65, and I forgot to mark it, but that 12x plus 2, it's kind of hard to tell, but it's actually going down to that corner there. So when I look at that, I have the 65 in the top right corner. And then I have this line that splits this one in two parts. I have 25x plus 2, then I have 12x plus 2. The large angle would consist of both of those together, right? What do I do with those two small ones to equal the big one?
Add 2.
We add them, right? So if I knew what the large one equaled, I'd say 25x plus 2 plus 12x plus 2 would give me whatever this large one is, right? Okay. Now, if you focus on just the large one and just the 65, what kind of angles are those two? Opposite or consecutive?
Consecutive.
Y'all agree? Yes, consecutive. They're on the same side together. Okay? So this large one there and this one here are consecutive. So they do what? They equal 180, right? They're supplementary. Okay? So, couldn't I add those two together on the bottom? Add them with the 65 and set them equal to 180? Everybody shake your head, yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay? Let me show you what that looks like drawn out, if you're more of a visual person. So draw this out as well. Just draw your parallelogram. Okay. Mine is a terrible one, but just go with it. You got 65 degrees in that top right. I'm not going to draw that line going through it, because I'm not going to split it in two parts. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these two here, because they add together to equal what the large one is. And right now, I'm just looking at the large one. So I'm going to take these two and add them together. So I'm going to say 25x plus 2 plus 12x plus 2. And that goes down to that corner there. Does that make sense? We combine those two small ones to just make the one large one. All right, y'all following?
Yes.
Now we know that these two here, this one and this one, are consecutive, which tells me they equal 180 degrees. Okay, so if those are consecutive, they equal 180. I can add both those together and set them equal to 180. So it would be like 25x plus 2 plus 12x plus 2 plus 65. All of that added together gives me 180 degrees.